Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the good news today is that we know Americans can now do math because energy was on the ballot and we did math. And we now have a new approach to a lot of bad policies that we saw over the past 4 years, which put us in a very precarious and detrimental situation going forward. And the foundation of our economy is energy. I'm proud to have this week on the floor HR 26, which will protect a critical innovation in technology, hydraulic fracturing, which without that, the last 4 years would have been much worse, and without the state of Texas, the Permian Basin in general. Ms. Eversole, welcome back to the panel. Thank you for being here. I want to talk about one of the bad policies, the waste emissions charge that came out of the last administration. And with regards to cost, production, and the future of the industry, just kind of give us a roadmap for what that will do.
Congressman, thank you very much for your question. We think about the waste emissions charge, or the so-called methane tax, is completely the wrong way to go about this. It is in the industry's interest and it's in society's benefit that we keep methane from escaping into the atmosphere. I've referenced the Environmental Partnership, which API leads with a variety of companies across the value chain to help reduce methane emissions. We're committed to doing that. And I think from your district, in the Permian Basin, that's really, ground zero for energy production in many ways. Smack dab in the middle of your district, we're seeing decreases in methane, and we look forward to continuing to do that.
Well, thank you for that. And the leadership that API has shown with the roadmap, also AXPC, recently submitted a letter, Mr. Chairman, with I'd like to seek unanimous consent for recommendations by AXPC to this committee.
Without objection.
Thank you very much. Mr. McCown, let's talk about the energy emergency that President Trump just declared. Why did we have to declare that? What does it mean? And what should this committee and Congress and the legislative branch be doing to back that up and get us back on track?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Mr. Pfluger. The simple math is, yes, we're producing more oil and natural gas than we ever have, 13.4 million barrels per day. The problem is we're using 20.3 million barrels of oil a day. That's a deficit. We do produce more natural gas than we consume, and thank goodness we've been able to export it to friends and allies. But we are not yet quite energy independent, and the forced early retirement of baseload energy on the electric side, there is a looming crisis that's going to hit, and it's not going to be fixed by throwing up small-scale renewables. We need baseload power that's not intermittent, and we need to get on it in a hurry.
Thank you very much, and Mr. O'Connor, I appreciate your acknowledgement of the amount of energy we're producing, but the math problem that we still have is that we have a lot more demand when it comes to what we are going to do in this country, specifically data centers. Mr. Arnold, thank you for mentioning the fringe groups. I see that as the biggest threat to normalcy, reasonableness, and reality. And so between Mr. Arnold and Ms. Eversole, I want to talk about the study that was in the 11th hour submitted by DOE that said that it is, we thought that LNG exports were in the public interest, and the study was released. Talk to me about that temporary pause, which they said was a pause, but actually affected a lot of investment into the LNG sector and getting that overseas.
Congressman, I would simply say that unfortunately that was an example of where politics got in the way of durable long-term investments, and it impacted not only investment here in the United States, but it impacted our allies. And as somebody who puts on the uniform and continues to put on the uniform every day, it doesn't have to be that way. And we want to make sure that we continue to produce LNG in this country and export it to our allies around the world.
It's been mentioned permitting reform. Part of that is the judicial reform, litigation reform. Mr. Arnold, those fringe groups that are very small in percentage but have an outsized voice. Tell us your experience with that and how they've been detrimental to the industry.
Thank you for the question. Really, our pipe fitters, my fellow workers, they just want to see things that make sense. And LNG facilities, for example, provide tremendous work opportunities. If you look at Cove Point, we had thousands and thousands of pipe fitters on that project and continue to have pipe fitters on that project for the ongoing operations. In addition to that, you have all the pipeline projects that have to be built, and that provides additional work opportunities for our pipeliner members. And so let's just do what makes sense and reward Americans who are out there working hard, trying to do the right thing.
I think I heard that in the inaugural address that we were going to govern with common sense. Thank you for backing that up. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.